Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today for our STIC first annual meeting in 2025. We have a great agenda for in front of us. So before starting our meeting, I would like to have some housekeeping things. If you want to speak or if you have any questions, so please wait until the question Q&A session, which will be called after our CAA team members. Or if you have any questions during the meeting, so please have them in the chat. We also monitoring the chat continuously, so if you have any questions, please put them there also. And we also have Mentimeter session for this morning, so we already have that Mentimeter website on the corresponding code, so please have them handy when we reach that point. With that, myself is Giri Venkatila. I'm a Brit Innovation Officer. I'm your host for the STIC meetings from NJDOT side, and it is my great pleasure to invite Eric Powers, Assistant Commissioner, Statewide Planning, Safety, and Capital Investment. So for his welcome remarks, Eric, please.
Thank you. I knew I needed to do welcoming remarks, and trying to think of something maybe inspiring or creative or inspirational, and I needed to take the long way into work because I got nothing for you guys other than thank you, because you are the ones really that are coming up with the work that's creative and inspiring and making change. So the STIC is what it is because what you make it and the work that you all put in your teams, it's really appreciated. You're making a difference both in Jersey and nationally. So, thank you for that. And that's all I got. Good morning and welcome to this first meeting.
Thank you, Eric. Next. We have our featured presentation this morning, which is on high performance internally cured concrete. Jess and Summer from Structural Engineering Services and Project Management will be giving that presentation. Please stay tuned for this. Excellent presentation that coming up. So next, please. Now I would like to invite Chris Page from FSWA for updates. Chris. Chris is here.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, Chris. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm in a different room today, so thank you for that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Page. I'm a planner here in the division office. I have a few updates that I wanted to share with the group this morning. Some of you may already know some of these updates, but for others, I wanted to be sure that I pass this information along. May 9th, just please make sure that you submit your final EDC 7 progress reports to myself. My email will be on the next slide, as well as the STIC incentive project that was awarded last fall. Please submit a report for that as well. I sent out the templates, so you should have them. If not, let me know ASAP so that we can get them, because that deadline is coming up really quickly. Furthermore, I just wanted to also share that if you weren't aware, I will be taking over for the time being for the infrastructure preservation CIA group. So I'm going to be working with Shivani on that, as well as the planning and environment group. So I'll be collaborating with Simon and Shashank move forward. In addition to my duties as the CIA team co-lead with Crystal on organizational support and improvement. Also, on the next slide, I'll be talking about FY25 STIC incentive funding requests. But as far as the CIA team lead group reports for progress reporting, please be sure to submit reports for nighttime visibility for safety, next generation TIM, enhancing performance when internally cured concrete, EPIC squared, and strategic workforce development. So next slide, please. All right, so STIC incentive applications are due, like I said, on July 1st of this year. So you do have some time. I would highly suggest, not waiting until mid-June or late June to submit those, but please get those over to us. The funding is available, so please be sure to take advantage of it. Just as a reminder, if you're not aware, any local entities or agencies, if they're interested In this funding, they will be a subrecipient under NJDOT in terms of funding. However, you are highly encouraged to apply and utilize this funding. This is just a quick overview of the application process. Just make sure that you submit, just a summary of the work that you'd like to potentially complete, project schedule, and an estimate of the budget, and make sure that you comply with all the program requirements that are at that link, fhwa.gov/STIC. It lists all the program guidance and requirements that are necessary. So please just make sure that you submit those applications to Gary and I by that July 1st deadline. But like I said, please submit them as quickly as possible. We don't, get inundated with a lot of applications at that late June timeframe. So that was all I had, Gary, and thank you. I'll yield my time back.
Thank you, Chris. Next, please. Yeah, next we have this Mentimeter engagement activity. Please log in to the website here and put the code 93530397. So why we have this activity? So each year we would like to gauge the innovationness among our members. So we want to see what you think of innovation, where your organization or unit is thinking about, and how about the EDCs that we are working on. So we just want to tap that information every year once. So this is the time that we are doing for this year. So please join. So please thumbs up if you already joined there. I think Devin, if you can log in. Yes, thank you. I see a lot of thumbs ups here. Thank you so much. Let's give one more minute to all of us to join there. Yeah, if you'd ask question, if you ask a code, please enter 93530397. You can also find that code in the chat. Okay, Devin, yeah, we are already. Okay, we start the first question. So which agency type do you represent? So please choose your agency. We want to capture how many are there from state side, federal side, and local. Okay, we only have 56 members. We replies. So let's wait for one more minute. Okay, so this is the distribution among ourselves today, the attendees. So please, next slide, next question, I would say. Yeah, this is the icebreaker question. If you could have dinner with one of these transportation pioneers, who would it be? I know there's a big tight race going on between Emily and Emilia. So let's see who will win that. Yeah. Oh, okay. Emily. Okay. I think the winner is Emily Warren, probably. So it's not a, it's pretty obvious. We all civil engineers. That's why maybe I'm not sure. But I want to see who wants to have father of railways, George, 3 members. So that's also interesting. So yeah, thank you all for your inputs here. This is a very informative slide, Devin. Thank you. Next. Okay, next. What comes to your mind when you think of innovation? Because this stick is all about innovation, trying new things, EDCs, and encouraging innovation in our organizations. So what do you think of innovation? Yeah, brainstorming, tinkering, improvement, creativity. Efficiency, thinking outside of the box. It's pretty good. Creativity, inventions, perseverance, new thinking. Can you go down, Devin, a little bit? Yeah. The future, risk taking. I see risk taking, yeah, which is one of the biggest thing in innovation. How far we can take risk. That is also big judgmental call for innovations for us, and problem solving. New insights. Yeah, this absolutely. So these are all very important thoughts that whenever we think of innovations, that's yeah, that will we will get of these words. So next slide, please. Next one, Devin. Thank you all. Okay. Is your organization or unit implementing or planning to implement any type of these EDC 7 innovations? In the stick, we always talk about EDC initiatives. Now EDC 7 is almost finished. So EDC 8, we are waiting for EDC 8 initiatives. So we want to see what has been done for EDC 7s and how far they reached in the organizations. Nighttime visibility for safety is more implemented. Or none at this time. So that means you're thinking of that is, please think about implementing one of these innovations. If you need any help, so please reach out to us. So that is the point that we would like to highlight here. If you are not implementing any of these, so please reach out to Brett, NJDOT, or FSW Chris Page for any kind of help that you need. Okay. Okay, Devin. So next, please. What other innovations are your organization or unit currently pursuing other than EDCs? So we want to capture if you're trying something new of anything. So please type it here or let us STIC know that you're working on something innovation other than EDCs. Whether savvy, micro transit services, smart vehicle testing grant, electric vehicle infrastructure, lease, retrofit, EV vehicles, LiDAR deployment for FIFA. I know FIFA is next year. I think we are very busy and working with them also. And expedite project delivery. Can you go down a little bit? AI and image extraction, bridge preservation planning, red light extensions. Wow, we have many going here, many innovations. HPIC, AI, analyze alternative project delivery methods, use of AI and machine learning in safety analysis. That, of course, AI is a big thing now. It's going all around. Improve technical assistance to municipalities. Yeah, can you please go down further down, Devin? Because intersection control evaluation, CAV infrastructure, automated shuttle deployment, data analytics, machine learning, AI, safety system approach. Thank you so much for your response for this question. So that will tell us like we are all working on innovations in our day-to-day work, which is very inspiring for all of us, so that we all can learn from each other. So next question, Devin. What challenges are you facing in implementing innovations? So the reason why we are asking this question, we have innovation program at BRIT, NJDOT, so where we are having different programs for not only for NJDOT, for the outside entities also. Please, let us know what kind of challenges that you are facing to implement so that we can learn from you or we can try to help you to navigate these challenges. Funding, DOT culture, bureaucracy, funding, lack of staff, lack of funding, lack of resources, lack of personnel, change management, administrative changes, and funding limitations. Can you go further down, Devin? Can you? Is silos, which means I believe silos means we are not collaborating among ourselves, where we are having innovations within ourselves. We are not promoting. Certainly reach out to us. So for promotion of any kind of innovation, So we have a tech transfer program where we can enhance your innovations visibility, and lack of team building, silos, fear of change. Fear of risk, definitely. Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much. These are all very valuable and very important while we are thinking of innovations. So based on all these, we develop our innovation program. If you need any help or any training or any outside, if you want to take a risk, if you want to have a risk framework, how you go about your innovation, so please reach out to us. We will definitely help you out on this decision making. Thank you. Devin, next slide, please. Yes, how can the NJSTIC support and promote your innovation? So this is what I'm just letting you know, that we have innovation program to help not only STIC but other internal units and outside locals and other municipalities also. Please let us know how can we help you, or reach out to us. Thank you. Support with outreach, definitely. Break down barriers. Funding for pilot projects. Good partnership and support. Definitely, we'll connect people, collaboration. Yeah, we definitely think about the collaboration like STIC network. So we always encourage collaboration, learning from each other, and team learning, team building. That's what we are looking for when we think about innovations. Help in identifying innovation funding opportunities, definitely. Facilitate, fund, advocate. NJSTIC educates stakeholders regarding innovation and innovation opportunities. Certainly. Promote the results and benefits of projects to a wide variety of audiences. That's an excellent suggestion. Yes, that's where our NJ Tech Transfer program is all about. Engage academia and experts from all over the world. Create a culture of innovation. Definitely, that's where our program is aiming for, to develop the culture of innovation within NJDOT. Host workshops. It's a great suggestion. Yep. Thank you all for your suggestions. And if you think of anything after the meeting, please send us an email also. Next, Devin. So what innovations in NJ should be more widely shared with the STIC members and others? So we want to see what kind of innovations that the STIC members want to see other than EDCs. That obviously we talk about EDCs in our meetings. But when get opportunity, what kind of innovations you want to see or you want to learn during these meetings from the STIC network? Innovations that have been successfully implemented by other agencies and endorsed by FSWA. That's a great suggestion. That's really we'll think about, certainly we'll think about it. Sharing of ideas, artificial intelligence in transportation. Best practices, air transportation, more sustainable approaches in transportation, learning from peer agencies, strategies that others are using successfully elsewhere, what is occurring in other states. Best practice and sharing new ideas. Safe system approach. I've seen a number of times the safe system approach in all of our questions. So it highlights its importance. Performance results, successful projects from other agencies. Sinkhole prevention. Well, thank you very much for your response for this question. Again, if you think of anything, please reach out to us on this or this one also. Next, Devin. Do you have an innovation project or research initiative you'd like to share with STIC members? If yes, please share your contact information. Your contact information won't display here, so don't be worried. So it will be hidden. So if you please share your contact information, we will reach out to you on this. If you have any project, any research initiatives you want to present during our STIC meeting, so we encourage locals, municipalities, please share your innovations also with us, which are very, very important for us. So if you have any innovations, please reach out to us or share your information. You one more. We only received 2 responses. So please reach out to us if you have any innovations or any research you want to talk about or you want to share with the STIC members, which will benefit to your organization or your unit. So please share your contact information here. Or you can reach out to us after the meeting also. Okay, Devin, next one, please. Again, here also, do you have any innovation or research idea would you like to propose to NJDOT? So anything that you think like NJDOT should try to see and to test it out, to pilot out, please leave your contact. We are not asking details here, but same thing. So please put your contact information in the chat, in the survey, so that we will reach out to you for further discussions. So please share your anything you want to, any idea that you have for us. We also have a number of platforms for you to share your ideas with us, which I'm gonna talk about at the end of this presentation, where you can send your innovations or research ideas for us directly, so that we can have a conversation with you or with your team. Okay. Yeah, Devin, I think that's it from us. So I think this is it, right? So next slide. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, all of you. I think you all did very great. All of you got A+, so that's all I can say, because yeah, all the questions were answered. We got a lot of very valuable information from all of you. Thank you so much. Now, our next agenda item, our big item in our agenda is a core innovation area team leads updates. We have 5 CIA teams, as you all know: safety, planning and environment, infrastructure preservation, mobility and operations, organization support and improvements. So the order which they appear, so they're going to present their updates for us. So first, safety. Please welcome Jeevan and Ellen for their updates.
Good morning, everyone. As always, safety is first and safety is foremost in everything that we do. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So I would invite Alan to go first and give a briefing on the pedestrian scale lighting research and resources action for the safety team.
Great, thanks, Jeevan. Good morning. Safety specialist for the division office. So as a part of NJDOT's task for the NJDOT Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, Rutgers VTC and Rowan University continue to finalize pedestrian scale lighting best practices. This resource, aimed at county and municipal governments, is designed to help communities identify and implement effective pedestrian lighting solutions and enhance pedestrian safety by addressing visibility as a contributing factor to fatality and serious injury crashes. Rowan and VTC teams continue the process of drafting the final pedestrian scale lighting resource to be shared for review with NJDOT and subject matter experts. As the effort's still ongoing, with progress being made in drafting, editing, and reviewing, but no final deliverable yet, so I'll leave it there. However, I did want to also highlight a related effort, which was that in late January, FHWA was able to deliver an in-depth 2-day lighting workshop in Bordentown. It was to an audience of staff across NJDOT, as well as MPOs in some counties and municipalities. Topics included visibility and human factors, safety and cost benefit, design methodologies, guidance for crosswalks, bikeways, intersections, and tunnels, design examples, and overview of AGI 32. All right, back to you, Jeevan.
Thank you, Alan. So for activity number 2, we have the nighttime visibility for safety, where we're looking at a task order contract for developing traffic signal pole and mast arm details based on 2015 AASHTO LRFD requirements for signalized intersection installations that include backplates with retroreflective borders on all traffic signal indications. So the details are completed and have been submitted to NJDOT SMEs for their review. At this time, the Division of Traffic Engineering is focusing on installing backplates with retroreflective borders on signal heads that are already installed on steel mast arms wherever it is possible. For the contract, however, the designer is coordinating with the fabricators on the feasibility of manufacturing the designed steel traffic signal poles, mast arms, and for the basis of design for aluminum poles and mast arms and foundation, they have been reviewed by the department, and comments have been provided to the design consultant. Again, this process is still ongoing, as you can appreciate. The reviews are in depth and through a multitude of SMEs. And the consultant has submitted the draft details, as I mentioned, in late October of 2024, and is under review by various SMEs. And Alan, of course, already provided you highlights from the FHWA training that was conducted in January. At this point in time, we're signing off, waiting for questions. Thank you. Thank you, Giri.
Thank you, Jeevan. So please hold your questions until we finish all our SMEs. Next, we have from strategic implementation of CMAC and CRP from our Simon and Shisham, please.
Okay. Okay. Good morning. This is Simon Wachuku. Yeah, today we are going to talk about the CMAC and the CRP. New Jersey is one of the states with non-attainment of air quality. We have two programs that address the issues. One is CMAC and the other one is CRP. CMAC is congestion mitigation and air quality, while CRP is carbon reduction program. How do CMAC and the CRP differ in their objectives? The CMAC program is focused on achieving traffic flow optimization and air quality improvement, whereas CRP core objective is the systematic reduction of carbon emission within the transportation sector. In CMAC, we address certain air quality issues, reducing emission, improve air quality in a designated non-attainment area, while in carbon reduction program, we targeted initiative aimed at systematic reduction of carbon emission in transportation sector through the development of sustainable technology and how carbon transportation solution, low carbon transportation solution. Next slide. Next is target development on new project approval. What is the process for approving CMAC projects? Projects are evaluated through a stringent cost effectiveness analysis, ensuring alignment with NJDOT's strategic transportation goal and the federal air quality targets. Project must also demonstrate measurable reductions in traffic-related emissions and congestion. The CIMAC program has developed specific quantifiable emission reduction target. This is why we try all the time to improve what we are doing to make sure that the project is eligible for CIMAC program. Active project approval process. NJDOT is actively approving new projects based on their alignment with CIMAC defined targets. These projects must demonstrate their potential to significantly reduce congestion, mitigate environmental impacts, and advance the adoption of low-emission technologies. Next. What is the process for approving CIMAC project? A project are evaluated through a stringent cost-effectiveness analysis, ensuring alignment with NJDOT's strategic transportation goals and federal air quality targets. Project must also demonstrate measurable reduction in traffic-related emission and congestion. Such projects are Intelligent Transportation System, ITS, intersection modernization for improved traffic flow and reduce vehicle idling, public transit expansion to promote multimodal transportation and reduce single occupancy vehicle, low emission vehicle incentive to accelerate the adoption of zero emission transportation option. Expected outcome. Projects funded under CIMAC are expected to lead to reduction in air pollutant and greenhouse gas emission, specifically targeting high priority non-attainment areas. I will ask Sushan to explain more on carbon reduction program.
Thank you, Simon.
Sushan, thank you.
Can you hear me, everyone? Yes. Okay. Thank you for, okay. So we're gonna start with the CRP, full-scale implementation and achievements. I'm pleased to update you on the carbon reduction program. The program has successfully moved from the planning phase to the full-scale implementation phase. These are the key advancements include the deployment of battery electric buses, which has already reduced the CO2 emissions. The implementation of the second thing is implementation of compulsory initiatives to enhance the infrastructure for pedestrian and cyclists, reducing car dependency, which includes the micromobilities too. Third one is the partnership with the municipalities for the transition to the green fleets using the alternative fuels and the electric vehicles. So these efforts are already delivering the sustainable reduction in carbon emissions through the electrification of the transportation and a shift towards the zero emission vehicles. Next slide. Okay. Second slide is for the performance metrics and stakeholder collaboration. So we use the data-driven approach to track the success of the both CIMAC and the CRP projects, and this success measured based on the few key performance indicators, which are for the CIMAC is NOx, nitrous oxide, PM 2.5, CO, carbon monoxide, and VOC emissions. And for CRP projects, we prefer to we are going with the CO2 emissions. The second thing is increase transit ridership and shift to the public transit and active transportation. And the third thing is improved air quality in a high population area, especially for the metropolitan areas. Sorry. And like we also use the geospatial tools to target these areas with the greatest need, like continue to collaboration with MPOs, municipalities, transit agencies, private sector partners, ensure coordinated and efficient project delivery. Next slide is next steps and strategic vision. So moving forward, we are focused on scaling sustainable mobility initiatives, which includes the expanding CMEC funded projects like ITS projects and promotion of low emission vehicles or alternative fuel vehicles. The second thing is accelerating the growth of electric public transit, especially electric buses, which has like more potential to reduce the emission. The third thing is implementing AI-based traffic management system to improve traffic flow and reduce emissions, especially for the congestion reduction projects. So we are also aligning the state policies with the federal emission goals and advocating for the long-term legislative funding to ensure the sustainability of these projects. Collaboration will be the key in transforming the New Jersey's transportation system into a more sustainable and resilient future. So that's our final goal. And thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Shisham. Next.
Thank you.
Next, we have our infrastructure preservation CA team. Please welcome Shivani Patel and Chris Page for their updates.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be providing an update on the internally cured concrete initiative. Next slide, please. Under the leadership of Rabie and Jess Mendenhall, the internally cured concrete team has been working expeditiously towards implementing the HPIC initiative at NJDOT since December. Next slide, please. The request for proposals from vendors for the centrifuge apparatus is posted online by the Division of Procurement, and we are currently awaiting bids. Next slide, please. High-performance internally cured concrete mix verification testing is underway for the first NJDOT internally cured HPIC bridge deck project, which is Northmont Avenue Bridge over Route 280, City of East Orange in Essex County. Next slide, please. There are additional projects in the final design phase that are being advanced. They include Hanover Avenue Bridge over I-287, CR 507 Bridge over Route 208, 23 southbound bridge over New York Susquehanna and Western Railway, Route 202 Bridge over North Branch of Raritan River, Route 124 Bridges over Passaic River, and Prince Rogers Ave bridges over Route 287. The Route 124 bridges over Passaic River are eastbound and westbound twin bridges at the intersection of 3 townships and 3 counties. Chatham Borough, Morris County on the west side, and then the eastbound approach lands in the city of Summit, Union County, and the westbound approach lands in Milburn Township and Essex County. This project is a unique research opportunity as there are 2 almost identical decks and lends the opportunity to have a controlled traditional mix for one side and an internally cured mix from the specifications that we have developed for the other side. Both will be monitored and surveyed over time to assess the effectiveness of the improved mix as compared to our traditional mix and inform our decisions for the future. Next slide, please. The team is currently working on preparing for the final design submission of candidate bridges within the pilot project program. In addition, the team is scoping additional projects to add to the candidate bridge list. Team members are also working on the process of purchasing and acquiring centrifuge apparatuses and other testing equipment, which are the FHWA recommended methods for quality control of determining the moisture content of lightweight fine aggregate. Next slide, please. In the next quarter, the team will continue coordination efforts with concrete suppliers in other regions of the state for the upcoming bridges within the pilot projects program. The team will also update the HPIC specifications to incorporate the addition of centrifuge apparatus. Next slide, please. We have some updates and coming soon announcements. The EPIC workshop, previously scheduled for April 29th, was put on hold and will be rescheduled when logistics are finalized. Team members Summer Rabie and Jess Mendenhall were interviewed by the Allen M. Voorhees Transportation Center at Rutgers University on the internally cured concrete initiative and implementation efforts at NJDOT. The link to the interview will be added to the chat pod. The team will be providing a webinar on NJDOT's implementation of internal curing. Once that date is finalized, I will be sure to share it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivani. Thank you, Chris. Next, we have our CA team mobility updates. Constantinos Kairos, so please.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like you said, my name is Konstantinos Kairos, and I am presenting on the Mobility and Operations Unit team updates today. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm sure most of you already know about the Weather Savvy pilot program that we've been doing. It essentially uses specialized Visala weather sensors that are attached to our SSP, IMERT, and plow trucks, and these collect real-time weather data. So the installations for this began back in December of 2023 with a fleet of 24 vehicles at the time. Since then, we have expanded all the way up to 45 vehicles, although one is currently completely out of service, so we're running with 44 as of right now. Recently, we have also increased our focus on plow trucks because during weather events, more plow trucks are out on the roads, and the more trucks with Weather Savvy on them out of the roads, the more data we can collect. It's just better for us. As you can see here on your screen, right in the middle, the little graph we've got, it essentially just separates the trucks from the north, central, and south region into how many we have for IMART, SSP, plows, and pickup trucks. Pretty straightforward there. Next slide, please. So some improvements we've made to the Weather Savvy program. Previously, the components were just installed directly underneath the seats of these cabs. No protection from anything, water, dirt, debris, dust, miscellaneous items knocking around in the cab, as well as tampering from anybody. So what we did to rectify that, essentially we put them in a junction box and we covered it with a plexiglass lid. Okay, we covered it with the plexiglass lid, and that just seals out, all the debris and the tampering that could occur with that. And also a update that's not listed here, but what we were working on, we are going to be testing 2 plow trucks in a system that completely removes the computer tablet. And essentially, we're going to have the data streamed directly from the sensors to the server. And that's going to remove the possibility of drivers tampering with the system, and it should increase the efficiency of the project overall. Okay, next slide, please. All right, moving on to what we're doing with the truck parking pilot. So this began back in 2021 at the Harding rest stop in Harding, New Jersey. And we have since expanded to the Kearney Point location in the summer of 2023. So basically what we do here is we have data captured from cameras, remote micro.
All good?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got muted. What point was I muted at?
Yeah, I believe
You're talking about the truck parking. Actually, there was
Yeah.
someone talking on the phone, so Gary muted everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just restart this slide then. Okay, so for truck parking, we began in 2021 at the Harding location, and we have since expanded to Kearney's Point back in the summer of 2023. And what we do here is we have data gathered from cameras that are installed at the site, as well as remote traffic microwave sensors and what we call PUCs, which are also known as in-pavement micro radar sensors. And all of this data essentially shows how many trucks have entered, exited the area, and how many trucks are parked in each specific parking spot location. As you can see on your screen here, the top right or top left picture, the little colored bars here, green's going to represent the parking spots that are available for trucks to park in, and red's going to represent the occupied spaces. So the next steps that we're going to take for the truck parking pilot, we are going to install a portable DMS sign around 5 miles out, that's still being determined, but from the Harding location on I-287 and I-78. And this is supposed to alert truckers in advance so they can better plan their routes and stuff of how many spaces at that parking spot will be available. Another update we're doing to the truck parking pilot is that we are going to take this technology that we have installed at Harding and Kearney's Point, and we are going to expand to a third rest area, and that is in Knowlton, New Jersey. And we'll actually be doing a site visit there tomorrow to see how we can implement the technology. Next slide, please. All right, moving on to DriveWise and what we're doing with that. So essentially, DriveWise provides free safety alerts to commercial vehicle drivers, and these alerts are going to show up directly on the driver's electronic logging devices. And we can see when and where these alerts have been sent through the Tableau dashboard. As you can see here, this is just a basic overview of what the dashboard is going to look like. You've got heat maps here, you've got alert counts per day, per hour, and you can also see right on the top left of your screen the program stats, and that shows the congestion alerts, the sudden slowdown alerts, and as you can see, the congestion alerts significantly outnumber the sudden slowdown alerts. So that's what is heavily focused on here. What we are going to do is verify the accuracy of these alerts, and what we're doing right now is actually, as of last week, Wednesday, as of last week, we started the second round of testing, and with that, we're basically trying to verify what is known as the dynamic alerts. So you can see, we'll move on. Can you move on to the next slide? We have more information there. Thank you. So essentially the real-time environment dynamic alerts, we are trying to get more verified data on that. Okay, so the objectives and methodology behind this is we want accuracy. We want to make sure that DriveWise is sending out accurately identified static alert locations and ensuring that drivers receive a timely notification. And of course, the dynamic alerts, we want to make sure that the congestion and standstill traffic alerts are assessed correctly. So for the first round of testing, the testing hours were AM rush hour traffic, essentially between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. And this captured the most challenging traffic conditions. So it gave us a good sense of what we're looking at here. And then finally, you've got the data collection. It's basically just GPS logging applications. So used alongside DriveWise to record like precise data location in real-time traffic conditions. Okay, moving on. Next slide, yeah. All right, so Streetlight, pretty simple. Streetlight Insights, just a data web platform. It harnesses the connected devices and the Internet of Things data to measure vehicles, transit, bikes, and foot traffic virtually anywhere. Streetlight can do a whole lot of things, but we use it mostly to create analyses, deliver metrics from your browser. And this is good because essentially all roads in New Jersey are accessible to Streetlight, and you can also change the analytic typing. All right, next slide, please. That's my favorite thing, Visala Groundcast. So Visala Groundcast is a new generation of weather sensor. You can see here, it's a cylindrical tube, essentially. It is installed directly in the ground on the shoulder of roadways. Groundcast itself is self-powered, and it is completely wireless, no cables, no anything connected to it. It has a built-in wireless communication system and battery that lasts for several years. Once it's installed in the road, Groundcast is going to measure the road surface temperature and the amount of residual treatment material, providing you with like reference grade observations in the specific location that it has been installed. Next slide, please. So what we're doing with that technology in New Jersey right now, we have installed it in 2 places on New Jersey 29 and one in New Jersey 12. And right now we have a 3rd sensor that we are in the process of finalizing a location for. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Konstantinos. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you, Vandana. Thank you, Chris, also. Chris, again, for the CA team update, organization support and improvement. Chris Page, so please.
All right, thank you. All right, Go ahead and click the next slide, please. All right, just wanted to share a few updates of what's happened in the last several months with the strategic workforce development innovation. Continuing to navigate potential funding opportunities, utilizing internal opportunities have been recommended through either the Division of Procurement or also potentially through the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development are being explored. Another important ongoing activity is to continue leveraging partnerships, developing partnership with NJDOT's Workforce Development Services is one thing that's been on the rise and happening recently. There's several advantages of NJDOT's program, including the fact that they can customize transportation-related training to include counseling and pre-screening services for NJDOT. One note is that the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Program, OFCCP, no longer has oversight for transportation mega projects. So NJDOT will be working independently on outreach and other related activities in regards to that. Next slide, please. All right. There's been ongoing collaboration with the Contractor Compliance Unit. There was a meeting held last month in March. Some topics to continue to be explored are unions and apprenticeship programs, the aging of the workforce and some of the union members. Continue to explore ways to increase membership, such as spreading awareness on the opportunities that are out there for employment within the highway construction industry. They'll be hosting a dual open house for individuals both interested in working on NJDOT's construction projects internally with NJDOT and externally with NJDOT's contractors. There's going to be a meeting next week with the construction contracting industry on next Friday. So that was pretty much it in regards to highlights with the strategic workforce development. And thank you.
Thank you, Chris Page. Next, we have Q&As for all the CIT members. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand in the chat, in the window. And also you can put your questions in the chat box. So I can see hand raised from Simon. Please unmute yourself, ask your question. Yeah, thank you.
This is Simon. Yeah, I am currently doing statewide modeling, and I want to know if what's the name? If he can share the street light data with us. I don't know how far you have gone ever with it. How far you have gone with street light. Because I need the data for our statewide modeling. Martha.
So, Samuel, do you need the access to the streetlight data?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you send me an email, and right now we are in the middle of the contract renewal with University of Maryland, and streetlight is a part of that. So from May 15 to June 30th, there would be a little disruption in the services. But if you can wait till July 1st, then I can get you the access, if that's okay. Do you need it an urgent access?
July will be okay for me.
July would be okay?
July will be okay.
Sure.
Yes.
Send me an email and I will make sure that you have an access.
Yeah, because I sent an email to INRIS folk this morning requesting INRIS data from them. But if you have it here, that would be great. So that I would like to.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes. I sent them email this morning. Yeah. So, and okay, I will ask them other data which I need, which is OD data. So, okay, thank you for clarifying that.
No problem.
Yeah.
Whoever needs access, just reach out to me. And we do have limited accounts. Just wanted to let you all know. We have limited accounts with Streetlight. But what I can do is, normally what I do is, if somebody else needs the information, I tell them use my login, just take me out, because I'm not using Streetlight. And so we just kind of, play around. Sometimes people transfer or they leave. So I will be happy if you can get the access and we are using the data. So,
Okay.
and
Thank you. We have a couple of questions regarding that, I think, in the chat. So Jeffrey
Yeah, I
is
see that.
asking, can you provide a contact for Weather Savvy and locational
From the
weather sensor
contact,
initiative?
yeah, my unit and me, you can contact any one of us. I'm there. Email me. And we have Tom Murphy, we have Constantino, who did the presentation, excellent presentation. We have Kimberly Ferguson. Anyone, you can just reach out to me, send me an email, and I'll give you the information that you want.
So Vandana, that would be helpful if you put your email in the chat. I think they are asking
Yeah,
for
I
email.
will definitely put
Okay,
my email
sure.
and my phone number, so anyone can reach out for Streetlight. And Frank, I'll just put the information in, okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Vandana.
All right. You're welcome.
Yeah. Any other questions for other CAA team members? I think I hear none. I didn't see any chat questions also. Okay. So yeah, we can wrap up next. So so thank you all for all CAA team leads and FSWA partners. So thank you for all your updates. Next, we have our feature presentation, high performance internally cured concrete, HPIC, Jess and Samir. So will be introduced by Shivani Patel. Shivani, would you like to introduce the speakers for it?
Good morning, everyone. So today's feature presentation will dive into the internally cured concrete initiative and spotlight the implementation efforts at NJDOT. Our presenters are Rabie and Jess Mendenhall, who currently lead the SME team for this initiative, as well as the UHPC initiative from EDC6. Rabie joined the NJDOT in 2015 following his graduation from Rutgers University with a master's in structural engineering. He has worked in the Bureau of Construction Management and the Bureau of Structural Engineering, where he provided technical oversight, construction support, U.S. Coast Guard coordination, and advanced ultra-high performance concrete for bridge preservation. Presently, Samer is a project manager in the Division of Project Management, leading infrastructure projects. He is also a PhD candidate at Rutgers University and represents the state on the AASHTO TTS committee. Jess Mendenhall joined the NJDOT in 2013 and works as a supervising engineer in the Division of Bridge Engineering, Bureau of Structural Engineering Services. Additionally, he serves as the Deputy State Transportation Engineer and oversees department approval of all working drawing submissions. His experience includes providing design and construction engineering support and technical oversight for the department's capital program bridge and structural projects. Notable project work includes the Route 295, 42, 76 direct connection and Pulaski Skyway contracts. Jess has expertise in bridge scope of work development, alternative and life cycle cost analysis, and jointless bridge detailing, and ultra-high performance concrete. He holds a BS in civil engineering from Rowan University and is a licensed professional engineer in multiple states. Now I'd like to turn it over to Samer and Jess. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Shivani?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Welcome aboard, Chris Page. Shivani is great to work with, and she runs a tight ship. So welcome to the team. Good morning again, everyone. I'm Samer Rabie, and along with my colleague Jess Mendenhall, we are going to present NJDOT's efforts towards the HPIC innovation. And although it's enjoyable to keep saying EPIC, in our specification, we adopted a less exciting acronym, which is HPIC, for high performance internally cured concrete. For our agenda, we'll first define the problem statement to have a specific objective, provide the background on internal curing, discuss the implementation plan and progress so far, and finally share our next steps and goals. To start, we wanted to show the timeline of the bridge-related everyday counts innovations and how they aligned with NJDOT projects. On this organization chart, we fall within the infrastructure preservation area with the same mission to rapidly deploy proven and underutilized innovations. And within a 2-year cycle, FHWA challenges the participating state DOTs to demonstrate some level of implementation while providing resources and support. So in our area, cycles 1 and 2 were focused on precast units and accelerated bridge construction. Cycles 3 and 4 advanced the ultra-high performance concrete for UHPC to connect those precast units. And within this time frame, since Cycle 1 in 2011, NJDOT had over 25 capital program management projects and over 30 bridges utilizing all 3 innovations. One of the earliest and most significant applications was on this Pulaski Skyway deck replacement contracts, with over 5,000 cubic yards of UHPC poured. That's one of the largest implementations in North America. And we currently have several projects in design and construction with UHPC and precast elements. Moving down to cycle 6, because 5 did not include a bridge construction innovation. Cycle 6 recommended UHPC for bridge preservation and repair. And within that cycle, NJDOT completed a pilot project to install and evaluate UHPC overlays for bridge deck rehabilitation on 4 of our bridges. That's around 50,000 square foot of deck area. And last year, we constructed our first UHPC link slab on River Road Bridge over I-287, which is a type of connection between spans that eliminates bridge joints, providing a significant extension in service life. Those traditional bridge joints tend to be the weak point on a bridge, and this is one of the tools to eliminate them. And we also have several projects in design and construction that will utilize UHPC overlays and link slabs. So far, NJDOT has synchronized and institutionalized within those cycles, and the last one will become standard soon with our upcoming bridge design manual. We were able to do that because these concepts were already incorporated in the design phases in our projects, and everyday counts was an additional encouragement or resource. And this brings us to the current cycle, which is a little different for us in terms of implementation, because although we had discussions and some research on this topic before it was announced in everyday counts, we did not have an implementation plan or specifications before the announcement. We are currently in the demonstration phase, and keeping in mind that for this infrastructure area, implementation also requires going through our design and construction phases. So a 2-year cycle is a bit tight for us. Now, to see how internal curing is different, we'll first talk about our existing concrete and practices. In reference to our standard specifications on high performance concrete, which was first developed in 2003, we specify a maximum water cement ratio of 0.4, and that is achieved by using large amount of supplementary cementitious materials, or pozzolanic materials as they are called in our standards. And this is what gives us all these great mechanical and durability properties compared to our old Class A mix. However, this is also what makes high performance concrete susceptible to shrinkage cracking. And that's why we have a 14-day curing period before opening the deck to traffic. But even with that, and even when the contractor and the suppliers do everything per our standards, most, if not all, of our newly constructed bridge decks exhibit transverse early age cracking. And this cracking undermines the durability improvements we are getting from high performance concrete. Now, I mentioned specifically early age cracking. There are other types of cracks caused by different reasons, but today's discussion is about the cracks that happen in spite of everything going right. And we'll narrow this down in the next few slides. This is not a New Jersey problem. Many state agencies and national surveys document that this is a recurring issue. These cracks would not be a concern if they were isolated fine cracks, but they are often widespread and throughout the deck. Investigations show that these cracks extend through the depth of the deck due to the gaps between the cement paste and the aggregate, which allows water movement and chloride penetration from the winter salting. This picture is familiar to many of our construction personnel. We trace the cracks with red lines so we can see them clearly here. Again, they are widespread and typically across the width of the bridge. This picture is also typical of most new high-performance concrete bridge decks, with some being worse than others. So what have we been doing about it? We have been sealing them. Depending on the location, the time of the year, and the density of the cracks, we investigate and recommend sealants. And a baseline document change was issued in 2023 for a sealing pay item, knowing that we would come to this. This image on the left is called a crack map, which shows the location, measurements, and spacing of the transverse early age cracks on the deck. They most commonly occur directly over the transverse reinforcing steel, typically 10 to 20 mils in width, and generally 5 to 10 feet in spacing. The image on the right shows a non-acceptable sealing application, which is inadequate with those snake lines, which only seals the visible cracks. That's why we always recommend uniformly flood sealing the entire deck for both improved function and aesthetics. And sealing the deck entails lane closures for cleaning and power washing the deck, waiting for it to dry, applying the sealant, waiting for it to cure, and our resident engineers get a substantial invoice with most of the cost on lane closures. Also, all sealers have a short service life and require reapplication within 5 to 10 years. So this slide is to help us define our objective, because saying early age cracking is very general. We chose to group them into 4 types of shrinkage cracking for today. There might be other variants depending on which reference you're looking at. So starting with the plastic, that's when the water leaves the concrete before setting, for example, on hot, dry, windy days, which increases the evaporation rate. And this is why we have those temperature limitations for concrete placement in our standards. Next, we have the drying shrinkage, which is water leaving the concrete after setting. And this is the most type of shrinkage that is given thought. It is mitigated by the reinforcement layout, different types of admixtures, and external curing, such as the wet burlaps and plastic sheeting. The thermal shrinkage cracks are due to the temperature fluctuations within the first few days. So the concrete expands due to the heat of hydration and then contracts as it cools, leading to stresses and cracking. Finally, we have the autogenous or chemical shrinkage, which is specific to high-performance concrete with water-cement ratio less than 0.42. It is due to water being consumed by cementitious materials after setting, and this is where internal curing can help. So with that in mind, now we can define our problem as early age cracking within 60 days in high-performance concrete bridge decks and the resulting reduction in service life. And our objective is to reduce autogenous shrinkage and the resulting transverse cracking in new high-performance concrete bridge decks, meaning the cracks that happen when everything else is done correctly. Now back to Everyday Counts Cycle 7 innovation. Federal Highway Administration is telling us, by summarizing 30 years of extensive studies and applications, that internal curing targets the source of the shrinkage cracking, specifically in concrete with low water cement ratio to improve the durability. It can be used anywhere where concrete is used. It reduces life cycle costs and the need for rehabilitation, and allows for using natural and recycled supplementary cementitious materials without compromising the performance. So what is internal curing? Simply, it is curing where the water is provided from the inside of the concrete. The main difference from our high-performance concrete is that we are replacing a portion of the fine aggregate or sand in the mix with pre-wetted lightweight fine aggregate that can absorb water, such as expanded shale or clay. The water absorbed during pre-wetting of the lightweight fine aggregate before it is mixed remains inside until the concrete is placed and it starts setting. The absorbed water does not contribute to the water-cement ratio, and this results in a better distribution of the water throughout the depth of the concrete section. This image is a good comparison between the normal weight and the lightweight aggregate. The normal weight aggregate, which is the half on the right, is dense and does not hold water. The lightweight aggregate on the other side has these pores or pockets that will hold the water, so when the concrete is setting, the capillary stresses draw out the water and cure the concrete section from the inside. We can think of water traveling through a straw. And this increases the hydration of the cement and the reaction of the supplementary cementitious materials, which means that the mixed components are reacting more efficiently rather than staying dry in there. And this supplements external curing, so the existing curing procedures that we have still apply. However, it does require additional production efforts and expenses, and Jess will discuss the details. But in short, since we are introducing a new material to the batch, it will require additional considerations at the plant. And we want to emphasize that it is not lightweight concrete. It is simply concrete that helps it simply helps the concrete reach its maximum potential. Internal curing has been deployed and institutionalized by more than 15 states or transportation agencies with over 150 bridge decks. Some states are known for the application in pavements, such as Kansas, and others in pavement patch materials. Our neighboring state to the north is one of the early adopters of internal curing. They started with 20 bridge decks for the application in 2008 and returned to observe the decks in 2015. And they reported a 70% reduction in early age cracking, which is very impressive. Since then, New York State DOT had reduced their curing duration from 14 days, which is what we have, to 7 days for high-performance internally cured concrete. And this is a substantial in lane closure durations. And they made this concrete mandatory for continuous bridges in the state, in all of New York State, and all of the bridges in New York City. These pictures are from the FHWA New York State Peer Exchange in May of last year. The first day was a workshop format, and on the next day we observed batching and placement at the concrete plant. I attended this with Jess, and we had the opportunity to engage with FHWA and the adopting states, and we heard industry perspectives from suppliers and contractors actively executing projects with internal curing. And we came back from Albany with an action plan, and we're grateful for the FHWA New Jersey Division Office, Paul Cardy, and Tim Barrett from the Resource Center, who is very passionate about this, and the New York State DOT team as well for the workshop and the resources provided. And we consulted with them several times during our implementation plan. So for our implementation plan, we started with reading case studies and industry best practices, and then identifying what are the available resources and what is needed for the implementation. And a crucial component is the lightweight fine aggregate. So we looked at the availability of the material locally and regionally and understood the logistics. And here we found out that our Bureau of Material were ahead of us and fortunately already approved and listed suppliers on our QPL specifically for internal curing. So we had to study the differences between the properties of the materials from each of those suppliers. At this point, we had enough information to start developing the concrete mix designed by converting our standard high-performance concrete, and then started developing our specifications. With the draft specifications, it was time to engage with the stakeholders. We solicited input from FHWA, our subject matter experts internally, the lightweight fine aggregate suppliers, the concrete plants, the Contractors Association, the New Jersey UTCA, and also our staff augmentation consultants. In July of 2023, we started conducting coordination meetings and presentations among the divisions to introduce the concept and communicate the benefits and processes of internal curing, And this was helping us align our objectives and foster collaboration moving forward. Fortunately, we've been obtaining buy-in from stakeholders, namely construction, materials, project management, designers, whether in-house or consultants. And so far, we've been able to address the concerns and incorporate their feedback. And this will be ongoing. And for the plan to be convincing to everyone involved, we evaluated and monetized the potential impacts and risks associated with the implementation and developed mitigation strategies and contingency plans. This was particularly for project managers on the individual projects in the pilot program when it comes to their design schedule, and our construction division engineers that are very sensitive to the constructability and schedule during construction. With the revised specifications, it was time to investigate the capabilities and readiness of the approved concrete plants. We started with the plants near potential projects, and given that travel times can vary based on the plant location and proximity to freeways, we are using a 25-mile radius as a reasonable guideline for identifying plants within this time frame. We'll call this the theoretical 90-minute commute. For the pilot program, we have a selection framework to evaluate and prioritize the projects based on factors like project delivery, complexity, bridge deck geometry, span lengths, location, and so on. From that, we identified suitable projects and compiled a list for the candidate bridges. That's some of our progress, and Jess will tell us more. We also applied for the 125,000 STIC incentive grant to help with the implementation, and Jess will also cover how we're spending it. We also wanted to note that our Bureau of Research is investigating internal curing with Rutgers University on a separate research project. We are closely coordinating with the Rutgers RIME team to align our objectives. They have a more fundamental and comprehensive approach as a research institute, and we look forward to their conclusions and recommendations. Currently, we're working on developing a comparative study along with the monitoring and assessment plans. For these two projects, since we have two almost identical bridge decks, it lends the opportunity to have a controlled traditional mix for one of the bridges and internally cured mix for the other in each of those projects. Both will be monitored and surveyed over time to assess the effectiveness of the improved mix as compared to our traditional mix, and it would inform our decisions moving forward. This is the list of bridges that are approved within our pilot program for implementation. We have 1 currently in construction, 8 are in final design, and 2 in concept development. More will be added. Our target is 10 to 15 bridge decks, and this is to show the industry that we are intentional about this, and they would get a return on any investment that they make to facilitate internal curing. Now I'll hand over to Jess for the technical aspects and the next steps in the implementation plan. Thank you.
Thanks, Samer. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep, okay. All right, so Samer covered really a lot of the background and some of the theory with this internal curing. Now I'm going to go over how it's actually going to be implemented on NJDOT projects, discuss the construction process, some of the impacts to the project. I'm going to provide an update on the first pilot project and then discuss some of the challenges that we've faced when we're implementing this initiative. So for the project implementation, internal curing is primarily going to be accomplished through the specifications or the project special provisions. This also includes contract pay items. We're going to have concrete supplier coordination where the designer of record is going to coordinate with suppliers that are local to the project. And there's also some considerations for the structural design and the bridge plans, and I'll cover some more of these aspects on the following slides. So the primary component for the implementation is going to be the project special provisions, and they're going to act as a supplement to the NJDOT standard construction specifications. This will primarily be through the sections 500, bridge construction, and sections 900, which covers the materials. So we have developed guide specifications to streamline the implementation, and these are being provided to the designers for the pilot projects. And this is going to help ensure consistency in the implementation and reduce the design level of effort on a project basis. Our approach to the guide specifications has been to follow the same methodology that has been used for NJDOT's high performance concrete or HPC specifications since the early 2000s. And a performance specification method is used where the final product requirements are specified, which is the final concrete materials properties, the strength and the durability and other properties, and then the contractor and their concrete supplier are given the freedom to develop their own concrete mix design proportions that meet these requirements. And then the contractor's concrete mix is verified with laboratory concrete testing, which is called verification testing. And the concrete is also tested again during the production with acceptance testing. Also included in the guide specification are requirements for the lightweight aggregate used for the internal curing, the test lab, trial batching, and the materials testing. And I'll elaborate further on some of these requirements. So for the lightweight aggregate, as we mentioned previously, internal curing of the bridge decks is going to be accomplished with a pre-soaked lightweight fine aggregate, not coarse aggregate. And these aggregates are comparable size to conventional concrete fines or concrete sands. The aggregates are typically composed of shales, clays, and slates, and they're made from crushing these raw materials and then expanding them under high temperature treatments. And the resulting product is lightweight and has an absorption or an ability to absorb the moisture that is much higher than conventional aggregates. These materials are also covered by a specific ASTM specification, which is ASTM C1761. And this image here on the right is showing an expanded shale that's produced in New York by Northeast Solite, and that's one of the materials that we have on our QPL, which I'm going to cover that on the next slide. So as Samer already mentioned, our Bureau of Materials has already identified and approved several sources of the lightweight internal curing aggregate, and they're included on NJDOT's standard materials QPL, and they're pre-approved for use in construction. I do want to note the very high absorption capacities of these aggregates compared to conventional normal weight aggregates, but also note that there's a large variation in the absorption capacity depending on the aggregate supply. And this absorption does need to be considered in the internal curing mix design, and it will impact the amount of aggregate that's going to be required. So to provide the internal curing water, the lightweight aggregate must be pre-soaked and then given time to absorb the required moisture content. This is typically accomplished by soaking a stockpile at the concrete plant using sprinklers or soaker hoses. And then after soaking, the stockpile is then allowed to drain down and is mixed to provide a uniform moisture content and reduce some of the surface moisture. And this photo is just showing a typical operation of pre-soaking lightweight aggregates at the concrete batch plant. So after the pre-soaking is completed, the aggregate moisture must then be measured to confirm that the aggregate has absorbed sufficient moisture and also to determine surface moisture to make the batch adjustments. And this is not done with conventional moisture probes that are used for normal weight aggregates. Alternatively, there's two methods that can be used for these moisture measurements. The first is the paper towel method, where the aggregate samples the surface moisture is removed using paper towels and then is oven dried, and the weights are taken at various steps to determine the moisture contents. This method is simple and is readily implemented without special equipment, but does have a variable accuracy. However, this method is the most commonly specified from other agencies and is used as a standard by New York State DOT. The other method is the centrifuge method. A centrifuge is used to remove the surface moisture similar to the paper towel method, but this method is faster and more accurate, but does require specialized centrifuge equipment. Our current specification requires the use of the paper towel method, but for future projects, we are going to consider requiring the centrifuge method or using both methods for comparisons. Also, as Shivani and Samer previously mentioned, we have received the STIC grant funding for this program, and we are in the process of purchasing centrifuges for our future projects, and the centrifuge purchasing is currently posted for bids on our procurement websites. And after we obtain the centrifuges, they're going to be distributed for our regional construction materials offices for field use on projects. Now to quickly discuss the mix design. So for the internally cured concrete mix design, which will be determining the proportions of the concrete components, this will be done by taking an existing high performance concrete mixture and then doing a conversion to turn it into an internally cured mixture. This is done by substituting a percentage volume of the concrete sand with the pre-soaked lightweight sand. And the substitution percentage is calculated with relatively simple calculations that account for the concrete mixture proportions and also the lightweight aggregate absorption. Again, note that a higher aggregate absorption will require a lesser substitution percentage and vice versa. We have developed mix design conversion spreadsheet that allows us to input our conventional approved HPC mixes and the aggregate properties and then perform automatic conversions to an internally cured mix. And you can see a screenshot of this on the right. For the pilot projects, however, the concrete supplier will be responsible for developing the internally cured mix design and performing the mix conversions with their particular high performance concrete mix. And then these calculations will be submitted along with the concrete mix design submittal. And there is directions for performing these calculations in the ASTM specification that I mentioned for the lightweight aggregates. And just to elaborate on this a little bit further, looking at these pie charts, this is showing a conversion of a high performance concrete mix on the left to an internally cured mix on the right. And note shown in the red bold lines, we're taking our fine aggregate volume and substituting a percentage of that with lightweight fines that are shown in the yellow. But it's important to note that we're maintaining the overall fine aggregate volume, so we're not disturbing the initial mix design. And this is the standard process that is used by multiple agencies. So as mentioned previously, the pilot projects will also include a trial batch and a test lab, and this will involve producing the internally cured concrete mix at the concrete production facility and then placing the mix on a 10-foot by 10-foot reinforced slab. This will ensure that the process is tested and the concrete supplier and the department are prepared before the actual production work. The intent is to emulate production conditions, including making adjustments to the mix, delivery, placement, and also the materials testing. This will be a separate contract pay item, as this is relatively independent work and also relatively substantial cost. So a few notes on the production and the constructability, because this is a big concern with our construction staff. Batching internally cured concrete is comparable to conventional concretes with the inclusion of an additional aggregate and also the aggregate pre-soaking requirements as we previously discussed. But the workability, placement, and finishing of internally cured concrete mixtures is comparable or near identical to conventional high-performance concretes. Also, there's the potential benefit of a reduced curing duration, which can expedite construction and reduce the lane impacts. Samer mentioned New York State DOT has found that a 7-day wet cure is adequate with internally cured mixes. However, for our pilot projects, we're going to maintain our standard 14-day wet cure. Depending on the success of that, then we may consider moving to a 7-day burlap cure. Now to wrap up the discussion on the construction process, this is a flow chart showing the existing process for HPC compared against the new process for the internally cured pilot projects. Currently, HPC mix designs are pre-approved on a periodic basis for each plant's mixture, so a project-specific mix design and the verification testing is not necessary. However, for the internally cured pilot project, a project-specific mix design and verification testing will be required. And additionally, the planning and the carrying out of the trial batch and the test lab are included in this process, and they're shown in the green. So for design considerations, generally the differences between the material properties of HPIC and conventional HPC are negligible. However, there is a minor reduction in the unit weight and the modulus, and there's a minor increase in the compressive strength for internally cured mixes. With this, there should be some consideration in potential impacts to the total dead load of the deck, the girder camber, and potentially the deck and girder design due to the decreased modulus and weights. We have developed general guidance for the designers of records to consider these impacts on their design for each of the projects. So big question here is what are the effects on the project? So for the pilot projects, there are some effects to be considered. During the design phase, this is going to include some additional level of effort for the project designer, including incorporating the guide specifications into the project special provisions, coordinating with the local concrete plants, and confirming any potential impacts on the design due to the variable material properties. More notably, however, during construction, there are anticipated cost impacts for the mix design, mix verification, and the trial batch and the test lab. These are estimated approximately $50,000. However, the primary cost impact would be the relatively large anticipated cost increase in the cubic yard unit cost for the deck production concrete for the internally cured mix. And this is estimated to be approximately an increase of 20 to 40% on the cubic yard unit cost for the deck concrete. Now, this large increase in deck slab unit price is due primarily due to the concrete plant's perceived risk of utilizing new materials, and the actual increase in materials costs and the efforts at the batch plant are generally minimal. It is anticipated that this unit cost would greatly reduce if this material is standardized. Also, as Samer mentioned, New York State DOT has found that after standardization, the cost increase for internally cured concretes is negligible compared to conventional HPCs. Also, I want to note that these cost estimates have been confirmed from bid pricing for our winning contractor on our first pilot project, North Munn. Also, I want to note that the cost of sealing a new HPC deck slab with extensive cracking is on the order of $50,000 to $100,000 with traffic control, labor, and materials. And this product should eliminate the need for this sealing. For schedule impacts, there's an approximate 6-month duration required for the initial mix design and testing and the trial batch and test lab. However, this work can be performed before starting the deck construction work, so will not increase overall project duration or be on the critical path. And we can see a breakdown of the schedule for the internal curing components of the project. A few quick updates on our first pilot project, North Munn Ave over I-280. This project's out in construction, and the work pertaining to HPIC concrete thus far has been the completion of the verification batching, or the initial batch used to take the lab samples for testing. Most of the verification testing has been completed and appears to meet NJDOT specification requirements. However, a few of the tests that take a longer duration to complete are still pending. And we were able to, fortunately, attend the verification batching. And the photo on the right is showing the collection of some of the lab samples. And we do look forward to the test lab and the eventual production for the bridge deck. So some of the challenges that we face for implementation, one is cost. Now, internal curing can provide life cycle cost benefit by lowering long-term cost from improving the durability and reducing maintenance needs. However, there are higher upfront costs, particularly for the pilot projects to consider. Also, for the specification, NJDOT's HPC specifications are considered by many concrete producers to be restrictive with regard to the material testing requirements. And considering these requirements, but then also the addition of a new material may impact the concrete supplier's willingness to produce internally cured mixes and will increase the cost due to this risk. Also, for the supply of the material, the lightweight aggregates are generally readily available in this region, but availability should be confirmed for each project at this time. There's 2 suppliers in New York and 1 in North Carolina that are pre-approved. And as an example, recently, one of the suppliers in New York shut down operations temporarily to perform upgrades to the production facility. So this could impact a project, so it needs to be confirmed. Also for, generally for economies of scale, as has been seen with NJDOT's HPC implementation in the early 2000s, achieving a consistent production of specialty concretes is critical for efficiency. And if the pilot projects succeed, NJDOT plans to standardize internally cured mixes for all bridge decks, which will greatly increase demand and help to drive the industry investment in these materials and the infrastructure. Also, just a general lack of awareness and education, and many engineers and decision makers may not fully understand the benefits and the techniques of the internal curing, and there could be concerns with the potential cost and construction impacts. Okay, so to wrap this up here, some of the next steps for the program. For the summer and fall of this year, we do plan on conducting a workshop with the concrete suppliers to get their feedback and ensure that we're going to have industry cooperation for future projects. We're going to host a workshop with design and construction staff to discuss the methodologies and NJDOT's implementation. And we're also going to be doing a training once we obtain the centrifuge equipment with our materials testing staff. As these pilot projects are carried out, we're also going to assess on a project basis and look for lessons learned and future recommendations and potential updates to our spec. And then for the performance monitoring, as the mixes are developed, they'll be studied for materials properties and cost, and also evaluation of the decks and performing crack mapping and comparing these to high performance concrete decks. So last, just want to thank everyone, particularly Federal Highway, everyone from NJDOT, STIC team, Bureau of Research, and everyone else that made this initiative possible. And also, we went from initial investigation phase to having a first pilot project in construction within 2 years. So we're real excited about that too. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, both of you, for excellent presentation, Jess and Summer. So if any one of you have any questions, please raise your hand or put it in the chat. So once again, thank you for your excellent presentations. The presentations not only for updates, but also you educated all of us with some basics also. Thank you so much for that. Any questions? So please raise your hand or you can put it in the chat. So if you're thinking of questions, so I can ask certainly one question, Summer. You mentioned that you track the cracks. So is the cracks are dynamic? They're gonna move, right? Once you go and repair, before that, they're gonna move or they're gonna shift the depths, length increases. So what is the time gap between when you decide to repair them and when you evaluate them?
That's a great question, Gary. So typically, as soon as we're done with the 14-day curing, and we have that period where we start observing the deck for cracking, and it's approximately 60 days before Jess's team, the Bureau of Structural Engineering, they do their corrective action inspections on the deck before it's open to traffic. So that's usually a duration of 60 days. And even if the cracks change in dimensions, if we're strictly talking about the cracks due to the change in the volume of the deck and being restrained, at least we observe the cracking initiation. And that's why we don't permit the sealing just exactly at the crack location. We have the flood sealing of the entire deck.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks so much. And Jess, you said like you cast like 10 by 10, 10 by 10 for precast slab. What kind of tests do you do on the slab?
So yeah, so at the they're gonna batch a mix with just like they would do with production, pour a 10 by 10 foot cast in place slab. And there's going to be crack mapping done of the slab. There's some requirements on the overall tolerances of the construction and make sure there's not extensive cracking. But the main idea is to perform the same acceptance testing of the test lab that would be done in the field for the actual bridge deck, which I know they take some cylinders for compressive strength and rapid chloride and some of the fresh properties testing. So the same testing that's done for our production decks would be done for the test lab, essentially. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you for that. And we have one question in the chat. So Girish Kumar is asking, like, quality control and quality assurance will be the key for the internal concrete, and we are on the right path to educate the suppliers of the benefit instead of its question. I think it's a comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Girish, and Girish has been one of our champions by giving up some of the projects in his region. So we thank you for that.
Absolutely. And I have one more question. What are the challenges you feel like to educate like all our contractors or suppliers, to do exactly what you envision? How's the effort is going? You need, are you training them? Are you having conversations regular on touch basis? What kind of, efforts that you are putting, and what kind of efforts you think that you may need help from us, actually, especially from Brit, tech transfer, Yeah.
Jess, you want to take this one? Oh, you had the slide on it.
Yeah, I think really the challenge is now it's not so much the prime contractors, it's the concrete plants. The prime contractors, if they get it supplied from the plants, it doesn't affect them much. But our concrete suppliers, a lot of them have issues with our existing HPC specification. It's been around for a long time. There's a lot of mixes though, but now we're introducing a new material. So really one of the major things, we do have some suppliers up north that can produce this. They produce it for New York State, but as we move to these other regions, we are going to be, as I mentioned, we're going to be hosting a direct workshop, maybe with ACI, New Jersey chapter, and really do direct coordination with the suppliers and ask them, what can we do to kind of ease into this implementation, really kind of let them know that we do plan on eventually standardizing this if it turns out well. And some more of that coordination needs to be done. Sometimes it's difficult to coordinate with contractors and the concrete suppliers. They may not be responsive, but as the projects turn out, we're going to have to definitely do that. So
definitely let us know if you need any help from us, from our end. Yeah, we're more than happy to help you, both of you, in that. So next question, Carl is asking about, are jointless decks more restrained with a higher tendency to crack?
So in general, I would say, depending on the detail, jointless decks do have some level more of restraint, but we would find that this type of cracking that we're dealing with it's not significantly altered by a jointless bridge. Now there is other type of stresses and things in jointless bridges that need to be considered, but this type of shrinkage cracking is probably pretty comparable between a conventional and a jointless bridge. So, but that's definitely a good point.
Okay. Then last we have Jeffrey. Based on other state experience, what is the difference in life expectancy of comparable HPC and internally cured installations?
So when I don't, New York State's been doing this, about 20 years, summer. So I don't know if we've had a long enough as far as like actually studying the long term. I mean, a lot of our conventional decks can go for 40 or 50 years. So I think actually comparing this would take, these need to be in service some more time, but just theoretically, we know that this type of cracking that penetrates through the deck, that's going to reduce the service life. So we could probably, estimate that it's going to, I mean, with the high performance concrete and with reducing this cracking, I mean, we could probably get, I would say, maybe a 50% service life extension. And really the major thing is reducing maintenance repairs where we have to go out there and close the lane and do this patching. That adds up a lot over the lifespan of the bridge, and that can be more expensive than just replacing the deck over the lifespan. So I think we would just estimate that right now. But
Right, and I think the intent is to take us to 75 years without continuously rehabbing or sealing the deck. So that's the objective, is the 75 years.
Okay. I think we have. Okay. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you. Okay, we have Girish Kumar. You raise your hand, please.
Yeah, so the challenges would be, when we do experiments in a lab and then trying to implement on a bigger scale, it's always the implementation issues, such as, like, give you example, if there was a special agreement requirement, the concrete supplier has a traditional stockpile of other stones and whatnot, and if we asking different material to be brought in, he has to obviously first procure in adequate quantity so that he doesn't run short of it, while we're doing all this SSD testing and whatnot, and we want a dry condition after saturate them with the water and whatnot. Those are all logistical problem, but and I think Samir and Jess already addressed this, that we are on the right track. Now we already know that this is going to work. How we get a buy-in from a supplier, that's what more critical is. And we have to listen to the industry as to what the problem they have to see, because if we don't put enough jobs out and he orders the material, now he has additional material sitting on his plant, it doesn't help him. So it's going to take, both sides to listen to each other and adjust the, and as time goes on, like Samir said, it should get actually better, because every change we have done in the past, initially every supplier would say, oh, I don't know whether this is a good thing. But then once we adapt to the same thing over and over again, they have all adapted to that, and things have gotten better. But again, our materials experts can weigh in on that aspect of it, but that's the way I see it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Girish. Yeah.
I know we're running short on time, Giri.
Yep.
I just wanted to add that real quick. We learned from our pavement team when they first put out those chip seal contracts, and it was one contract at a time, and it's expensive equipment for the contractors to procure. And then they switched to doing those statewide contracts, and then the industry kind of followed as well. So like Girish was saying, that's why we're targeting 10 to 15, just to have a large volume of bridges, using that for enough suppliers to start procuring, internally curing.
Absolutely. Yep. Once again, thank you. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Samir, once again, for excellent presentation today. And reminders, announcements. So please, as Chris Pays is asking us for progress reports, which are due May 9th. So please send us the reports as soon as possible. And you can all, if you want to revisit the STIC meetings, so please visit our NJDOT Tech Transfer website. And also NJSTIC news. So we have recordings of all these meetings. So please do visit our Tech Transfer website. So next, Devin. And if you have any ideas, or as I mentioned before, any innovation ideas or any research ideas, so please submit them to our bridge manager, Pragna Shah, at pragna.shah@dot.nj.gov. We really encourage you to submit any, so don't hesitate, like it's going to work or not. So we will all together make that judgment call. So please do share any ideas that you have for NJDOT, any research or any innovations. And with that, next, we'd like to thank all of you for joining, and for the next meeting, which is scheduled on August 6th, our second triannual meeting, and we'll have our CAA team feature presentation from organizational support and improvement. Okay, that, thank you all. And I would like to thank Devin Cordillero, Bridge staff, for all her support to seamless engaging with CIA teams, everyone here. And also we'd like to thank our Bridge manager, Pragna Shah, for her support for our meetings, and Eric Powers and Amanda Gendek for their continuous support for our research and innovation programs. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.